My beloved child. Stop scrolling for just a moment. Do not rush past these words. Something has been waiting for you longer than you realize, and somehow, against every distraction surrounding you, you have arrived here at exactly the right moment. This message is not asking you to believe blindly. It is asking you to listen with the quiet place inside your heart that still remembers hope. What you are about to hear may feel strangely familiar, as though your soul has been expecting it long before your eyes ever found these words. Stay with me until the very end of this message, because what is hidden cannot remain hidden forever. There is movement where you believed there was only silence. There is a story unfolding behind the curtain of ordinary days, and although you cannot yet see every detail, heaven has been watching every step. You have wondered why certain doors remained closed, why certain conversations never happened, why certain people drifted away without explanation. You believed those moments were endings, but they were not. They were pauses placed carefully between chapters so that what is coming would arrive at the appointed time instead of the convenient time. Listen carefully, my beloved child, because someone you never stopped carrying in your heart has also been carrying pieces of you in places they cannot explain. They have tried to move forward. They have tried to convince themselves that distance would erase memory. They smiled when others expected them to smile. They laughed when they were supposed to laugh. Yet in quiet moments, when the world stopped making noise, your memory returned like a familiar melody they could never forget. Do not leave this message yet. Something extraordinary is slowly being uncovered. You have asked heaven questions without speaking them aloud. Questions whispered only through tears, sleepless nights, and silent prayers. If this connection was real, why did it fall apart? Why did everything become so confusing? Why does my heart still remember someone my mind keeps trying to release? Every question reached heaven before it reached your lips. None of them were ignored. But there is something you have not understood. The return you have imagined is not the return that is being prepared. Pause with those words. Because many people wait for someone to come back exactly as they left. Heaven does not work that way. A soul cannot walk through certain storms and remain unchanged. Your soulmate has been walking through lessons they never wanted, carrying burdens they never expected, facing mirrors that revealed truths they spent years avoiding. Something inside them has begun to awaken. Not all at once. Not dramatically. Quietly. Almost invisibly. Like dawn arriving before anyone notices, the darkness has already begun to disappear. You may wonder why this matters. Because transformation is the first step before reunion. Yet there is a problem. Not the problem you fear. Not betrayal. Not rejection. Not forgotten love. Something far more complicated. Stay with me. The answer has been hidden beneath layers of misunderstanding, timing, fear, and unfinished healing. Imagine standing beside a river whose surface appears calm while powerful currents move beneath it. That is what has been happening spiritually. Outwardly, nothing seemed to change. Inwardly, everything has been changing. Your soulmate has reached moments where your name almost escaped their lips. Moments where they almost picked up the phone. Moments where they almost sent the message. moments where they almost turned around. But every single time, something stopped them. And today, heaven is allowing you to understand why. Do not skip ahead in your heart. The next part matters more than you realize. Sometimes people believe love disappears because feelings fade. That is rarely the deepest reason. More often, love becomes buried beneath fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of repeating mistakes. Fear of discovering they waited too long. Fear that forgiveness may no longer exist. Your soulmate has been standing at the edge of those fears for longer than anyone knows. They have replayed conversations that only they remember. They have revisited moments they wish they could change. They have spoken apologies that nobody heard except heaven. Even now, there are nights when they replay your voice inside their own thoughts. Not because they are trapped in the past. Because something unfinished keeps calling them back. But listen carefully. This is where the mystery becomes deeper. Someone around them has been influencing their choices. Not controlling them. Not forcing them. Simply feeding uncertainty whenever courage begins to rise. Every time your soulmate gathers enough strength to take one step closer, a whisper of doubt appears. What if it's too late? What if they don't care anymore? What if reopening the past only creates more pain? These questions have become invisible chains. Chains strong enough to delay a reunion. But not strong enough to destroy what heaven still remembers. Do you understand? Delayed. Not destroyed. There is a difference. A very important difference. The delay has made you believe nothing is happening. Heaven says everything has been happening. Just beneath the surface. This is why your spirit has felt restless lately. This is why certain memories have returned unexpectedly. This is why familiar dreams have visited you without warning. Not because you are meant to stay trapped in yesterday. Because your soul has begun sensing movement before your eyes can witness it. There are seasons when heaven reveals outcomes long before circumstances catch up. You are standing inside one of those seasons now. Do not mistake quietness for absence. Seeds grow underground before anyone celebrates the harvest. There is another truth you must hear. Your soulmate has changed in ways you would never predict. The person preparing to return is not identical to the one who walked away. Pain has softened certain parts of their heart. Regret has humbled certain parts of their pride. Time has exposed certain illusions they once believed. The journey has been uncomfortable. Sometimes painfully so. But heaven often uses uncomfortable roads to create compassionate hearts. Still, the problem remains. And until you understand that problem, nothing else will fully make sense. Take another moment. Breathe slowly. Because what comes next explains why everything has felt suspended. Your soulmate believes they must arrive perfectly healed before returning. That belief is beautiful. But impossible. No human reaches perfection before taking the next faithful step. They keep waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect confidence. The perfect words. The perfect version of themselves. while heaven keeps whispering, "Come honestly." Yet fear keeps answering, "Not yet." This silent battle has lasted longer than either of you realize. Every delayed conversation has created another layer of uncertainty. Every unanswered feeling has become another unanswered question. Every passing season has convinced both hearts that perhaps destiny missed its chance. But heaven does not measure destiny the way people measure calendars. You count months. Heaven counts transformation. You count distance. Heaven counts preparation. You count silence. Heaven counts healing. Do not stop listening now, because another hidden piece is about to be revealed. There have been moments recently when your soulmate almost crossed paths with reminders of you. A familiar song. A familiar place. A familiar phrase spoken by a stranger. Each moment arrived unexpectedly. Each moment interrupted ordinary life. Each moment stirred emotions they believed had disappeared forever. Coincidences? No. Gentle reminders that certain stories remain unfinished until every lesson has been learned. Even now, as these words reach your eyes, something inside them continues moving. Perhaps they cannot explain it. Perhaps they have not even spoken it aloud. But heaven sees every invisible turning point. The greatest transformations often happen quietly. One decision. One realization. One unexpected conversation. One ordinary afternoon that suddenly changes everything. Do you remember wondering whether heaven had forgotten your prayers? Heaven answers gently. I was preparing hearts before answering requests. Preparation often feels like silence. Growth often feels like delay. Faith often feels lonely before it feels victorious. But my beloved child, never confuse hidden work with abandoned work. I have never abandoned what I began. There is something your heart must guard carefully. Do not allow impatience to rewrite your hope. Many beautiful things become damaged when people force doors that heaven is still unlocking from the other side. Sometimes waiting is not punishment. Sometimes waiting is protection. Protection from conversations happening too early. Protection from reunions happening before humility arrives. Protection from promises made before maturity exists. What is being prepared must arrive with wisdom, not merely emotion. Because emotion begins stories. Wisdom sustains them. Your soulmate is learning that lesson now. Slowly. Painfully. Authentically. Yet another layer remains hidden. A layer that explains why your own journey has been equally difficult. You were never meant to remain exactly as you were either. While you watched the horizon hoping someone would return, heaven quietly shaped your own heart. Strength where there was fear. Peace where there was anxiety. Discernment where there was confusion. Compassion where there was disappointment. You thought nothing was happening. Everything was happening. Two separate journeys. One unseen destination. But before those paths fully meet, one final obstacle must be faced. Not by you alone. Not by your soulmate alone. By both hearts. And that obstacle has already begun revealing itself, even though neither of you fully recognizes it yet. Stay close. Do not walk away from this message. Because what heaven is about to reveal next changes the meaning of every delay, every unanswered prayer, every unexpected silence, and every tear you believed had fallen unnoticed. The moment that has been quietly approaching is much closer than either of you realize. But the truth about the problem, the one hidden piece neither of you has fully seen, is only beginning to come into the light. And when that final veil is lifted, nothing between your two stories will ever look the same again. My beloved child, do not turn away now. Stay with me a little longer, because what has remained hidden is beginning to reveal itself. You have waited through silence, questioned through uncertainty, and carried hope even when it felt too heavy to hold. But this moment was not created by chance. Heaven has been leading you here one quiet step at a time, preparing your heart to understand what comes next. What you are about to hear is not the end of the story, it is the beginning of the greatest turning point. The problem I spoke of is not that your soulmate has stopped loving you. It is not that they have forgotten your name or erased your memory from their heart. The real problem is much deeper than distance. It is hidden beneath layers of guilt they have never confessed to anyone. Every time they imagined returning, a voice inside them whispered, "After everything that happened, how could I possibly deserve another chance?" Those words became a prison more powerful than any locked door. You never saw those moments because they happened in silence. While others believed your soulmate had moved on, heaven watched them pause unexpectedly in the middle of ordinary days. They would remember something small, a smile, a conversation, a promise once spoken without thinking. Suddenly the confidence they tried to build around themselves would disappear, replaced by a quiet ache they could never explain. They carried that ache everywhere, pretending it was invisible, but heaven never stopped seeing it. Listen carefully, my beloved child. Sometimes people stay away not because they do not care, but because they care so deeply that they fear causing more pain. Your soulmate has imagined your reaction countless times. They have imagined you smiling. They have imagined you turning away. They have imagined hearing words they never wanted to hear, "You came too late." Those imagined conversations have become so real inside their heart that they almost believe they have already happened. Do not leave this message. The next truth explains why everything suddenly feels different. Recently, something unexpected happened within your soulmate's spirit. It was not dramatic enough for the world to notice, but heaven noticed immediately. They reached a point where running no longer brought peace. Distractions stopped working. Busy schedules stopped hiding what they truly felt. Every attempt to replace what was lost only reminded them of what remained unfinished. That realization was not punishment. It was awakening. Sometimes heaven allows every false source of comfort to become empty so a heart finally becomes willing to face the truth. That is exactly where your soulmate stands today. The walls they spent so long building have begun to crack. They still appear strong on the outside, but inside they are asking questions they never dared ask before. What if I was wrong? What if I walked away from something heaven intended? What if the person I keep remembering was never meant to become just a memory? These questions have not left them. Instead, they grow louder with each passing day. You may think this means everything will happen immediately. Not yet. Because another lesson remains. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that love is not only about emotion. Love requires courage. And courage cannot be borrowed from someone else. It must rise from within. Heaven can open doors, but each person must choose to walk through them. That choice is standing directly in front of your soulmate right now. There have already been moments when they almost reached out. A message was nearly written. A phone was nearly picked up. Your profile was nearly opened one more time. But each time, hesitation whispered, "Wait until tomorrow." Tomorrow became another tomorrow. And another. Until heaven gently interrupted the pattern. Do you know how heaven often speaks? Not always through thunder. Not always through miracles. Sometimes through a feeling that refuses to disappear. Sometimes through a memory that returns without warning. Sometimes through a dream that seems more real than waking life. Your soulmate has begun experiencing those quiet reminders. They cannot explain why your presence suddenly feels so close again. They tell themselves it is coincidence, but their heart refuses to believe that explanation anymore. Stay with me. Something even greater is unfolding. While your soulmate wrestles with fear, you have also been changing. You may not realize it, but the person listening to these words today is stronger than the person who first experienced heartbreak. You have survived nights you believed would break you. You have continued walking when every step felt impossible. You have learned to smile even while carrying unanswered questions. Heaven has been preparing both hearts separately because the reunion being prepared cannot survive on old versions of yourselves. Old misunderstandings must not return. Old fears must not return. Old pride must not return. What is coming requires two hearts that have learned humility. But here is another mystery. Not everyone celebrating around you is celebrating within you. There are voices around your soulmate that still encourage them to stay where they are. Some speak from fear. Others speak from past experiences. None of them fully understand the journey heaven has written. Their advice sounds logical, but it is built on human understanding instead of divine timing. This has created confusion. One voice says, "Forget the past." Another whispers, "Finish what heaven started." Every day your soulmate stands between those voices. Yet something remarkable has begun happening. The voice of peace has become stronger than the voice of fear. Very slowly. Almost unnoticed. But unmistakably. Heaven is patient because true change cannot be forced. Remember this, my beloved child. Anything built in panic rarely lasts. Anything built in peace carries lasting strength. That is why heaven has not rushed this story. The foundation matters more than the speed. There is another reason the delay became necessary. Neither of you fully understood your own value before separation. Sometimes people only recognize a priceless gift after living without it. This lesson has changed your soulmate more than they would ever admit. They have watched others come and go. They have experienced conversations that felt empty. They have stood in crowded places feeling strangely alone. Each experience quietly pointed them back toward the truth they kept trying to avoid. Not because heaven wanted them to suffer. Because truth becomes undeniable when every illusion falls away. Now listen very carefully. The next few days, weeks, or season may begin placing unusual signs before you. Familiar names may appear unexpectedly. Old memories may return with unusual clarity. Conversations may happen that seem strangely connected. Do not become obsessed with searching for signs. Instead, remain steady. When heaven moves, peace accompanies his direction. Do not chase. Do not force. Do not fear. Simply remain faithful. Because what is truly meant for you never needs manipulation to find its way. Still, the greatest revelation has not yet been spoken. Your soulmate believes they are preparing to return to you. But heaven says something even greater is being prepared. They are not only returning. They are returning with a truth they have never spoken aloud. A truth they buried beneath years of silence. A truth that explains decisions you never understood. A truth that has the power to change everything you believed about your separation. They have carried those words inside them for far too long. Every day they remain unspoken becomes heavier. Every night they remain hidden becomes more difficult. Soon, silence itself will become impossible. That is why heaven has been asking you to strengthen your heart first. Because when hidden truths finally come into the light, they often arrive all at once. You may think you are waiting for a reunion. Heaven says you are preparing for a revelation. And revelations always arrive before restoration. So hold your heart with patience. Protect your peace. Do not surrender your hope to temporary appearances. The story is moving even when your eyes cannot measure the distance. Because even now, as these words reach you, your soulmate stands closer to a life-changing decision than they have ever been before. One conversation. One unexpected encounter. One moment of courage. And everything could begin to change. But there is one final secret heaven has not yet revealed. A secret involving someone else. Someone whose actions have quietly influenced this entire journey from the very beginning. When that hidden role is exposed, every unanswered question, every painful delay, and every mysterious coincidence will finally make perfect sense.